Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Today we're going to talk PS3. We're going to talk about top selling games. Let's look at the list and see if they're still influential today. One of the things that I love about the seventh generation, guys, is that it lasted 10 years. So we have a plethora of games, right? If I ever had to live offline, that'd probably be the first console I would look to, just because of the libraries I can enjoy on it. PS1, at least the one that I have, plays PS1, PS2, and PS3 games. But the console itself didn't start off all that strong, as we can remember, with the whole controversy about pricing and how expensive it was and all that. But it quickly, through pressures of the industry, mainly the Xbox, had to step its game up and eventually became one of the better consoles that at least I've ever owned overall, because of all it could do and the library of games that I had access to. Now, going through this list, I was taken back by, how many years have gone by. And not only that, but how many of these titles are still around. Let's start off with our number 10. This is Red Dead Redemption, a game that is just being remade. People are still enjoying it. And why is that, right? Rockstar Games made an epic game here. Red Dead Redemption galloped, if you will, into the hearts of gamers. Gen X gamers, for example, had a soft spot for it because we grew up playing cowboys and Indians, which wouldn't be politically correct nowadays, but that's what we used to call it back in the day. And it was a great era for us, the Lone Ranger era, and a lot of great westerns, spaghetti westerns, of course. And Rockstar Games here really offered like an immersive universe, right? An immersive experience here. It's rich storytelling. It's a vast open world, and it became an instant classic, really, for a lot of people in the gaming community. And if they're still remaking it now, that should tell you everything, right? Number nine on my list. Okay, now this is my list, guys. I just got data from a couple of places. I'm not a reporter, I'm not a data analyst, right? Just a guy that's very tired from daddy duties, getting ready for tomorrow. We're going to go trick-or-treating. And by the way, I'm going to drop a horror Halloween video tomorrow that I'm getting some notes here whenever I get a break. And next on my list is Minecraft. Minecraft is still relevant today. Of course, I think it just crossed like 300 million downloads or something like that. But it's so relevant to this day for me personally, because yesterday, one of my grandkids was playing with another one of my grandkids, and they were playing Minecraft, over the internet. One of them is in the Bay Area, the other one is in Southern California, and they're just having a great game. They have their own little setup, and it really speaks to the charm of this game. Minecraft, the brainchild, of course, of Marcus Persson, revolutionized, if you will, creative gaming for the masses, at least in platforms that were accessible to many people. Its blocky game universe is like a canvas for players, for creative people. It's really great for kids. It fosters the imagination. It has dedicated communities of builders, explorers, adventurers, creators, what have you. And really, the game's charm is its simplicity, right? And it leads to boundless creativity by a lot of people, and that's why there's so many downloads. And this is 2011 we're talking about. This is a dozen years ago. When the game came out, my grandkids that were playing the game weren't even born, right? That's how relevant that game has been for all this time. Number 8, a game that my kids played in college before I did, and that's Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, right? Who doesn't remember Skyrim? As a matter of fact, the PS3 version, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, had a big bug or something that you couldn't finish the game, or had some huge bug. And, something that still persists today with Bethesda, as I found out in Starfield. Now, what this did, it really just transported people to an enchanted RPG realm, if you will, right? And it really is, if I had to define it, it's an open world masterpiece, right? Players can embark on quests, uncover hidden secrets. They can shape their destiny by their own decisions. And really what made Skyrim, at least for me and the people that I played with, enjoyable was its depth, right? It was the exploration, right? It really was, and it still is, a timeless classic. And by the way, guys, those of you who have PC who haven't experienced it, you may want to try the AI Companion mod. For those of you who don't, go watch it on YouTube. It really is a different experience, and that's something to say, 12 years later about this game, that is still very influential and has influenced many, many game developers that are active today. Okay, number 7, FIFA 13. I remember when this came out, what stood out about it, what everybody talked about, was the attention to detail in the graphics, right? Because this really showed off the PlayStation and what it could do over other consoles when it came to graphics. Remember, we had, at some point, 3D TVs were coming out, and it was all about graphics. But, whether you're playing soccer or football, as we call it in the rest of the world, it really became the closest thing to a simulation on the pitch, right? It became a virtual pitch for soccer fans, and its authenticity, attention to detail, the graphics were so crisp. At that point, it set the standard, not for just soccer games, it set the standard for sports games at the time. Unfortunately, here in the last couple of years, it looks like we've gone back a little bit, but back then, let me tell you, if you look at the game now, of course, 12 years have gone by. No, actually 11, what is it? Yeah, 2012, yes, 11 years have gone by. So you have to look at through that filter. You look at those graphics now, there's nothing to write home about. But at the time, it was peak, man, let me tell you. And it really set the standard for a lot of sports games. Now, one game that came out of the blue that just immediately shot up in popularity, created a fan base, and my number 6 is Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Right? The setup was Black Ops 1, but in Black Ops 2, Triarchs really rewrote the first-person shooter rule book, at least for the Call of Duty series, right? It had embracing narrative, multiplayer, and the gripping story that the game had was addicted to a lot of players. I know people that just play the campaign, they didn't even play online. Like me, I'm a person that likes the single-player campaigns, and I usually don't play online. I mean, I will from time to time, but it's not something that I enjoy, to tell you the truth. But that's the only reason a lot of people play these games. In Black Ops 2, the innovation it had elevated it to new heights, at least within that genre at that time. But also, you have to remember, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which I have, back to back at number 5, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games continued the Modern Warfare saga with a bang. They threw a banger with NW3. It had intense multiplayer. I mean, when it came out, it was anything anybody would talk about, guys. It was huge. This was a huge game when it released. And not only because of the single-player campaign, of course, but the cinematics, the immersive gameplay, really kept players coming back and back and back for more. And that is why the game is legendary. The writing, the voice acting, I mean, everything was tight on this game. And it's still beloved to this day. All right, what I got? Number 4, I have for you Uncharted. Right, after the continuous disappointments of Indiana Jones. We needed something fresh, something new. And Nathan Drake provided that for a lot of us. Of course, he's a standard in this series, and one of the things that I believe, I personally, that made the game so endearing to many was the protagonist, right? And how charismatic the character was, and why, that's why it has an enduring legacy. It's Naughty Dog's masterful storytelling, right? Combined with that time, just breathtaking visuals, guys. Again, we're talking about 2011, okay? We're talking about those standards. They were great, and it was an amazing game. And to this day, it's one of the games that people go back to again and again. Number 3, okay? I have to say that this is Naughty Dog's magnus opus, right? The Last of Us. The Last of Us redefined storytelling in gaming because it really combined strong acting, a strong script, and the graphics combined really gave the game an emotional depth that very few games give to players, right? And they give that strong connection to them. The gameplay was intense, of course, right? But this really resonated with players. The Last of Us became the symbol of just the excellence, right? The standard bearer for narrative storytelling in a video game. Besides of course, we know the controversies with 2 and what have you. But for me personally, 3, and number 3, The Last of Us, is a standout. Number 2, I think, is really the only game that I feel, even though it was a top seller, doesn't resonate still today as it did then. That's Gran Turismo 5, right? It just fell off, as they say, right? But back then, Gran Turismo roared into the PlayStation 3, right? It set the standard at that time, right, for driving simulation. It had stunning graphics, realistic physics, and that's what everybody commented on, was the physics. And it had a great selection of cars, right? It's at that point, there was no parallel to it as far as racing experiences, right? Gran Turismo's, attention to the detail of the cars and the authenticity made it a fan favorite, and that's why it sold so well. I would like to see it come back. What iteration, come back stronger? Should it be VR? I don't know, but it's just not as strong as it used to be, let's just say that. But at number 1, 10 years ago, guys, 10 years ago, think about this. Rockstar Games released Grand Theft Auto 5 as the epitome of an open world game, right? This was really a living world, intricate storytelling, diverse gameplay, had options that captivated players all over the globe. Grand Theft Auto 5 became a cultural phenomenon. It set sales records that obliterated movies all over the place. And it really was a game changer in the industry. Let me tell you, these are top 10 selling games, if you will, but it really marks how this 7th generation was really a driver to what we see today in gaming. A lot of the lessons learned in the 7th gen are still applicable today. Some of them, unfortunately, none of my favorites, right? Like DLC and microtransactions and stuff like that. But the span of this period of time for the PlayStation 3 was so great that it was the biggest leap, I think, in video game consoles of any. Because you have a console here that not only went back in the past by playing the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, but took us into the future, right? That's why, to me, the PlayStation 3 is one of my standard consoles to this day, right? The PlayStation 3, even though it delved into, modern gaming as far as DLC downloads and all that stuff, it was also able to play, games of the past, and many of the games that were released on the PS3 do not need to be online. So, if you want to start collecting for a particular console, this is a great place to start. All right, humans, thank you for joining me, taking a look back at the PS3, what makes it so memorable. At least these games right here. There's many more, so many hidden gems, as they say, so many games that were, good memories of ours for such a long period of time. 10 years is a long time, man, and I'm sure through that time, you guys have some classics in there that you go back and play again and again. All right, humans, thank you for joining me tomorrow. Remember, we're going to have a Halloween episode. Make sure you like and subscribe, hit that like button, and I do appreciate your attention. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.